Do you know what my favorite part about draft season is? It's when an expert or an analyst has to describe, well, a certain multiplayer. You know, the real scrappy dude, the absolute gym rat, first in, last out mentality, or the coach's favorite. And since I love draft season, I had to create a brand new channel for this offseason. So over the next 2 weeks, I'll be going through every single position, ranking the top players at each position, and giving you guys, of course, some of those coaches' favorites. The last thing before we get into it, I ask of you two things. One, if you enjoy, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Again, it's a brand new channel. Help us get to where we want to go. But the other one is simple. Drop it in the comments. What is your favorite description that you've ever heard or that you like to hear about, well, let's say, white players? We're going to kick off the list with Riley Leonard. Some would say a great leader, which was raved about, a tough physical runner, and a guy that, of course, is a coach's favorite, some would say. But this is a guy that at the quarterback position is just not ready for the NFL level, and I don't know if he'll ever be. A guy that at Notre Dame, he wasn't asked to throw the ball 20 to 25 times a game, and that's what you're going to be asked to do at the bare minimum at the NFL level. Sometimes you got to win with your legs, sometimes you got to win with your arm. I don't know if Riley Leonard has the capabilities to do both. I will say he looked better at Senior Bowl weekend, but that doesn't sway me enough to think that he's any more than what Daniel Jones was coming out of Duke. So at the best, I'll say he's a late day three, maybe an undrafted prospect that gets picked up right away after day three ends. Either way, this is the list that we have so far, and this comes from the community so far. So we have Scrappy, high IQ football player, a gym rat. We touched on that. Blue collar work ethic, something that I heard once before, and I had to add it to the list. Coach's favorite, faster than he looks. You guys see the rest of the list, but if you have any more, let me know down in the comments. At number 9 is Curtis Rourke at 6'5", 225. He has the biggest frame in the class out of any quarterback. Of course, that is, I guess, what you go after for these NFL teams that are taking a shot on a quarterback in the late rounds. But I think he does have a quick release, good touch, underrated pocket presence, and he is a good leader. For him and Curt Cignetti to go from JMU to Indiana and turn that program around in 1 year, it's unprecedented. So I want to shout out to Curtis Rourke. He deserves his credit there. But at the opposite side of it, his cons, I'd say he just has an okay arm, right? Not good, not great. And this is a guy that was heavily in an RPO scheme at Indiana. It's not to say that that can't translate to the NFL, but I want to see him in these spread schemes. I want to see him in these pro style schemes. I don't know that he's going to be able to translate quickly enough. I could see him at best being maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo, kind of like a career backup, and maybe if the situation's perfect, he could come in and be a decent option. Now, this might ruffle some feathers, but Jalen Milroe at number 8, he is the biggest and the best dual threat quarterback in this class this year. He has maybe the strongest arm. He does get the ball out quickly, and I think, again, just naturally with his dual threat ability, he is probably the best in this class at extending plays. However, the accuracy issues are such a big problem with Jalen Milroe that we kind of gave him a pass in the regular season because we said, okay, new coaching staff, some new weapons around you. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was just you couldn't gel at all throughout the season, and that's why he had 11 interceptions. Well, at Senior Bowl weekend, it didn't get any better. It actually got worse for him as his accuracy issues continue to struggle in the one-on-one drills and the 7-on-7s. You name it, Jalen Milroe just didn't look great. And that's just not something that you want to get excited about. Now, I do think he's going to be a day 2, maybe day 3 pick. A team's going to take a shot on him. I just don't think he has any legitimate chance unless he has the perfect situation to succeed in the NFL. At 6B is going to be Will Howard, a guy that does bring the prototypical size and mobility that you want to have from a quarterback at the NFL level. He does remind me of a lesser Bo Nix, and I'll start with that because if you watch Bo Nix last year in college and then you watch Will Howard, you can see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of similarities and a lot of things to like from both of their games. But for Will Howard, I don't think he's as good as Bo Nix going into the NFL level. And this is a guy that does bring good accuracy. He has good anticipation. Granted, I think it looks a lot better when you have the weapons that Ohio State does. A lot more separation is going to be there when you have those weapons around you at Ohio State. Still, good anticipation. I think he has good pocket presence. And hey, he's a great leader, a guy that led his team to the first ever 12-team national championship. And to win it, Well, I think, of course, that's always a good thing to be the first to do it, but also he deserves his credit there. My worries about Will Howard is, you can say this about a lot of quarterbacks too, but in some of these bigger games, like the loss to Oregon early in the year, like the loss to Michigan late there before the playoff stretch, there's drives early in those games where if you can get under his skin, right? If you can get this dude off the trail, so to speak. This is a guy that all his pros can go away for the rest of the game. It's the consistency, it's the bounce back, mentality that I worry about with a guy like Will Howard. But still, the tools are there. I think he can be a very decent quarterback at the NFL level, and I think a team's going to take a shot on him probably day two. Another former Ohio State Buckeye is Kyle McCord, and this dude is just a gunslinger. I think he might have the strongest arm in the class. If not, it just looks like that, given his last year at Syracuse. I will say his accuracy at times, he just has flashes of greatness as far as his accuracy, especially late in the season there at Syracuse, where every throw just seemed to be right where it needed to be on time. And of course, again, those are the key reasons why he led the nation in passing yards with over 4,700. The cons here with Kyle McCord is that he has tended to shrink in big time games. We saw it last year at Ohio State and even the year before for a little bit there. He's also been a little bit of a turnover prone kind of a quarterback. I think that he just has this ego about him, and he just thinks that he can make every single throw possible, and that's a good and a bad thing. Moving into the top five, we're going to kick it off with Dillon Gabriel. You love his experience. It's 6 years, 3 different schools, and his production was there. 189 total touchdowns in his collegiate career. And last year, he had a 5 touchdown to 1 interception ratio. Another thing you like to see, because sure, he's throwing an interception, but he's getting you 35 points to that 1 interception that might not even turn to points. Regardless, the ratio is something that I like to look at for these quarterbacks. He does have a strong arm, quick release, great touch, all things that you want to see at the next level. However, he's shrunk in some big time games as well, like some other collegiate quarterbacks here on this list. And his size, he is 6'2", 200. To me, I don't worry about the size as much as other people. I know a lot of people were on Bryce Young's case about that. He's still at number one. And look, if you gave him time and some decent weapons, as we saw last year with a good coach, he's actually, again, he's not a bad number one pick now. Now that we look back at it and we gave the rookie time to develop at the NFL level, Dillon Gabriel, he's not number one pick worthy. He's not going to be a starter from day one. But I think that if he can go to a right spot, maybe like the Rams, and develop for a year or two and then take over, I think he can be a solid quarterback to get the ball out on time and maybe produce at the highest level. Quinn Ewers comes in at number 4, and at the beginning of the year, I thought that this guy was going to finish the year as the consensus number 1 quarterback over Shedeur Sanders. Of course, we'll mention him in just a little bit, but Quinn Ewers, he is an effortless throwaway, and I'll just sum it up like this. He has the big game experience, and all the tools are there outside of maybe elite mobility. But the tools are there to be a good game managing quarterback that you can trust in some of these big time games and for your franchise going forward. However, he does have some ball placement and accuracy issues. He does have some decision making issues in general, as we saw last year at Texas, and that costed them some of those games there against Georgia. Regardless, Quinn Ewers, the tools are there. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick, maybe a round 2 pick. But at the end of the day, I don't think after this past season that he's going to be a starting caliber quarterback. But that you could say that for a lot of these guys on the list. Now we move into the top 3, and this is the guy that is a blue-collar worker. He is a gritty player. He's an on-field coach, great leader. What am I missing here? I don't even know. You guys get the picture. Jackson Dart. He is my favorite quarterback in this year's class, and that is because he's extremely calm. I think he's tough. I think he's very competitive. He has these flashes of greatness in these bigger games where you're like, oh man, the tools are there. This is a guy that we can trust and we actually get excited to watch for our team potentially going forward. The things that I worry about with Jackson Dart is his ego. I think he can be reckless at times. He has this mentality where he can be like, I can make any throw on the field at any time, which is of course a good and a bad thing. Also, the fact that Ole Miss quarterbacks and Lane Kiffin quarterbacks have never really worked at the next level, those are things to worry about because a guy like Matt Corral, for example, he was a fan favorite. A lot of people loved him, but again, because of his tools. But when he got to the NFL level, and whether if it was due to his opportunity, which there was a lack of, or just his situation, he did not flourish at the NFL level. He actually was out of the league by the time his rookie contract ended. So for Jackson Dart, I don't think you have to worry about that. But I will say that I think he's going to be a steal, maybe late day one, early day two. And if you give him a year or two, I think he has the potential to be a top two quarterback in this class. And at number two, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. It's going to be pretty chalk from here, but top 50 grade for Mr. Perfect Timing, a guy that could be the number one pick, the number three pick, the number two pick. We don't know where this guy's going, but he's going to be a top 10 pick. I can guarantee you that. He had a great season, 4 touchdown to 1 interception ratio. I think he has the highest ceiling out of any quarterback in this class. And sure, you can point to the fact that he comes with baggage because his father is Deion Sanders. But the biggest thing for me is his pocket presence. A guy that has the highest self-induced, that means he's put himself in these situations, pressure rate last year by 7%. He was at 27%, and the next quarterback was at 20. So he is putting himself in danger as much as he wanted to blame his offensive line. Granted, they weren't great, but he needs to just work on his just being a little bit more calm there in the pocket, more composed, like his best friend at number one. But Shedeur Sanders, for me, I think no doubt he's going to be probably the quarterback with the highest potential in this class. And at number one, we all expected this, right? Cam Ward, a top 25 grade. And I want to say a month ago, there was kind of some questions like who actually is, all right, going into bowl season, who is the quarterback one in this class? Fast forward a couple weeks, I think it is pretty much solidified at this point. Everyone believes that Cam Ward is the guy in this class. But I will say his composure is next level, all right? Honestly, I don't even know what level it's on because when you watch him, it looks like he's, playing some backyard football. He doesn't really need to move. It's just, I've never seen anything like it as far as how still that this guy can be in the pocket at all times. And just his composure, again, is next level. He is the all-time leader in college football for passing touchdowns with 156 of them. Now, how he got that at the end of the season, a little bit of a controversy there, but hey, it's a bowl game, right? He has bigger things to focus on, like the NFL draft. He is a very smooth thrower of the football, as you see on your screen. The only things I worry about with this guy is the fact that sometimes he likes to play hero ball, especially late in games. And if he just takes what the defense gives him, I think that not only takes his game to the next level, I think he has a chance to be a top 15, top 10 quarterback in the NFL if he just does those simple things down the line. But Cam Ward, no doubt about it, the best quarterback in this class. Now, what's new this year compared to my old channel is that I'm going to give you guys grades this year. So you see the grades on your screen. For reference, nobody got above a 96 or 97, so no perfect prospects around here, right? You got to be Trevor Lawrence coming out of college to get 100 overall. But Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, top 50 grades for the both of them. And outside of that, you see there is a little bit of a drop-off between Jackson Dart and the quarterbacks below them. I think it's a 3-quarterback class. I think everybody else needs the perfect situation to succeed at the next level. But that is episode 1. I know it was choppy. I know it wasn't the greatest, but hey, we're going to get better. And over the next 2 weeks, you're going to get so much content here on the channel. So if you want my rankings for pretty much free, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to leave a comment, man. Let me know just what you think.